Let me do what this show has sought to do for 9 years, which is try to close the gap between what people say privately and what is said on live TV. This is from a super donor. This is a pathetic display. We're no better than they are, mouthing talking points that no one believes. A Democratic member of Congress texted me this morning and said it's almost over, just waiting for someone to pull the plug. This is about Joe Biden's candidacy. This is what my colleagues, Jonathan Allen and Carol Lee, reported today. Quote, several of President Joe Biden's closest allies, including 3 people who are directly involved in efforts to reelect him, told NBC News they now see his chances of winning at 0. And the likelihood of him taking down fellow Democratic candidates growing. Quote, he needs to drop out, one Biden campaign official said. He will never recover from this. My phone is full of Biden allies sending me poll numbers, sending me statements from Democratic members of Congress who have defected and who said they have gone home and received no criticism but praise from their constituents for doing it. This is not a president or a campaign season about whether tax cuts go up or down. It is not a campaign season that is about whose health plan. This is about whether there is a health plan. This is about whether there is a democracy. This is about whether in January we're covering mass arrests of the Clinton, the Obamas, and the Bidens. And I want to know from you, Mark Elias, when the public conversation will match the private one.
So, look, I think you're seeing day by day, including today, there are different statements from different members that are coming out on all different sides of this. And that is part of this process that we are unfortunately been stuck in the last 2 weeks, as you point out. I do want to add one thing to a point you made, though, when you asked David his last question about, who benefits from the cynicism that none of this matters. And the only person who benefits from the cynicism that none of this matters is Donald Trump. The only person who will benefit from people staying home is Donald Trump. And so it is important that when this political process sorts itself out, as it will need to, because the convention is coming upon us, that all Democrats and all right-thinking people reject the cynicism that is being offered to them by Chryssula Savita and Susie Wiles, that they reject the cynicism that Donald Trump wants to seep into the discussion, and that we understand the importance of the threats to democracy.
I mean, David Jolly, I guess I come back to you with the question of what now distinguishes the two parties when you've got Republicans who've long said something very different about Donald Trump in private than they do in public, right? Sure. You now have the same thing happening in the Democratic Party.
Among elected officials. And I think this is very important because just as we would suggest that top Democrats might be gaslighting. And I use that term about the White House staff in the first 72 hours after the debate. I remain unsettled by what I saw, but I accept the reality that Joe Biden has said, trust me, I can do this, and he made the decision to stay in. And so now it's a contrast. And so this is where I would suggest the parties are different. If that donor that was quoted or that anonymous elected official or that Democratic leader who is quoted saying, we have to do something, we have to pull the plug on Biden, you're undermining democracy because you're invalidating 14 million votes of Democrats across the country that handed Joe Biden the nomination. There were 16 million Democrats that participated in the Democratic primary to choose their nominee. Over 14 million chose Joe Biden. 2 million chose somebody else. And the notion that members of Congress or a machine or a donor is going to come in and say, hey, voters, no, 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 no. You don't really control the party. We do. It's the most Republican thing of all that Democrats could do in this moment. And that's where they would ultimately fail the test about democracy. This isn't easy. It's not good. The Democratic voters nominated Joe Biden. Joe Biden said he's staying in. So now your choice is between Biden and Trump. That's it.
Well, I don't think anyone is saying that the party leaders have any power at all, because they wouldn't be texting reporters.
Well, they think
if they
do,
did,
Nicole.
Right? But I don't think anybody does. I think if we're going to stay true to what we've tried to do in these 2 hours, the only person with any power to do anything different is Joe Biden. And Joe Biden wants all the same things that we do. Joe Biden wants to continue to live in a democracy. Joe Biden's own son would be probably the first person the Bidens have more on the line than anybody. And in terms of legacy and library, I mean, the legacy for Joe Biden right now is not just do you win or lose an election. For Joe Biden, it's, do you end the American experiment? So I appreciate your point, but I'm not saying that the Democratic Party leaders have any power at all. I think we watched the Republicans, and it's clear that there's no such thing as, we live in sort of a post-party leader America. The only person with any power because of years of legal and political movements is the president. So what we're actually talking about, Mark Elias, is what does Joe Biden do?
I think Joe Biden is going to give a press conference later today, and he and all of us will have more information after that. And then I think, he has said he has made his decision. But, I've been in politics long enough to know decisions are not made until they have to be made. And so, we will see what he does.
David Jolly, I hate when I feel like we're misaligned in what we're saying. I'm not saying anything different than you are.
Actually.
It's obvious. There's nobody with any, no one can make Joe Biden do anything. I guess my question to you is, what does Joe Biden do?
Yeah, so Nicole, we're not actually misaligned. I think you and I see this correctly, which is the only person that can make a decision is Joe Biden. And Joe Biden made that decision, but leading Democrats don't like it. Well, sorry. I mean, look, voters made their decision. Joe Biden made his decision. If you're a leading Democrat who doesn't like it, your job is not to tank your nominee, because that will give us Donald Trump. Your job is to unify. Now, privately, if you want to continue your conversations with your nominee, and if circumstances change, and if Joe Biden himself decides, maybe now's not the time, maybe I should step back, then unify around that decision. Joe Biden gave you his decision. And if you're a donor who doesn't want to give another dollar, fine, risk giving us Donald Trump. If you're a leading Democrat who refuses to listen to your nominee, recognize you're just refusing to listen to him, because you don't have any power in this say. So you can have as many meetings over on the Hill as you want, but you're sitting around a campfire, patting each other on the back, and it's not making a bit of difference. Joe Biden made his decision. If you don't like it, it's too bad. If he changes his mind, maybe you'll like it. But he's not changing his mind right now. He's your nominee. You're with him or you're with Donald Trump. And I get it. It's a hard situation for all of us. But Biden will protect freedom on the world stage, protect American democracy. Donald Trump will end it. It's that simple.
Hey there, MSNBC fans. I'm Luke Russert, and be sure to join me, Rachel Maddow, Jen Psaki, Lawrence O'Donnell, Steve Kornacki, Joy Reid, and many more September 7th in Brooklyn, MSNBC Live Democracy 2024. Click on the link for ticket information. We will see you there.